Hi, my name is Mark Biernat, and in this video, I want to talk about a conceptual framework that you can subsequently hang facts and data on to interpret the geopolitical situation in Ukraine and Russia. And this is based on game theory and probabilities. Now, normally as an economist, I work with programs like Project R or Gretel or even SPSS, statistical programs to create time series data and autoregression models. However, this game idea goes back to an older tradition. Between the ages of 8 and 18, I played so many historical board game simulations by a now defunct company called SPI, or a Simulation Publication Inc. I basically got rickets. I was inside all day. However, the interesting thing here is they developed a very simple game system in which it approximated historical outcomes fairly accurately. In fact, they were spot on most of the time. And there's an adage that the simple reveals itself after the complex has been exhausted. And that's apropos for modern games which have a high emphasis on graphics and sound effects, GUI, rather than the probability tables behind it. So what we see is, based on historical outcomes, this is an approximation and an abstraction and a simplification. I think we can make some generalizations against gameplay in this fashion. Specifically, this is a combat results table, and over there is a terrain table. And if you notice, and the two interplay, and it's a very important point, and this will have implications. Let me explain. Stay with the video. The implication is, until you achieve about a 3-to-1 ratio, the attacks are usually inconsequential. DR means defender retreat, AR means attacker retreat, AE means attacker eliminated, DE means attacker eliminated, EX means exchange. So only at the 3-to-1 ratio do you start to see any substantial gains from the attacker. In contrast, the defender usually has the advantages everywhere else. They may retreat or advance, but it's generally a seesaw. Now, the real element here that's significant, and what you have to know, is this is overlaid with terrain advantage, whether it's a city, which is ×2 for the defender, or a rough area forest, ×2 for the defender, or attacking across a river. Now, fortifications probably are +2 also, although George S. Patton said fortifications are monuments to man's stupidity because we have the natural terrain in the mountains, which are the best ones in the world. So these, irregardless, if you calculate the numbers and say there's a major city that is an objective of, let's say, Russia, and the Ukrainians have 20,000 defenders with fortifications, and again, this is an abstraction, you would need to achieve, because 20,000 with a terrain advantage equals 40,000, you'd need to achieve 120,000 Russian troops. And they just don't have that, let's be honest, at their disposal. And it is disposal. So even if you were to have a 2-to-1 where you might have a defender retreat, it's not a substantial retreat because it can seesaw back and the attacker might have to retreat. 2-to-1 would still be 80,000 with the implicit advantages of terrain. Again, if you don't believe me, you can buy these games online and game test them yourself to see if they do approximate historical outcomes. But being as somebody who's been modeling data for a long time, I'm pretty impressed by this old school method. And that's one of the reasons I know I should be a talking head with everything digital, but I like old school. It's a lot more fun. Okay, but again, going back to the seriousness of this, if this does not work for the Russians to gain land, and you can plug the numbers in yourself, instead of getting an overload of information daily at the front lines, just simply try to take a step back from it, look at the numbers, and see if this table makes sense. Put it in a conceptual framework, and I think it has predictive value to see which way the seesaw is going in this attrition. Now, the numbers are not Napoleonic raw numbers of men and muskets and, rifle and saber. What it really is firepower, and you have to calculate in modern things besides just artillery and air power, or mechanized units. You might have an offense, defense, and movement points into the game system. But you can make some approximations if you say that the firepower is ceteris paribus in terms of technology leveling the field, then you can break it down again and drill down to just the raw numbers of infantry, and you can look at the results table. And if you follow it, the geopolitical event, I think you'll find that these results table are pretty accurate. What does this mean in the broad picture? It means something very significant. It means that the Russians are not going to gain advantage in terms of land, nor have they over the last 2 years. But the contrary might also be true, you say, that the Ukrainians will not gain that advantage. But here's the kicker. Ukraine is like I live in this subtropical environment, obviously, and it's infested with water moccasins. And water moccasins, like the Ukrainians have, don't tread on me. They're very clever. They wait. They watch. They don't attack. They look on the defensive until they see a strike. So this is what the advantage is of Ukraine. The best offense is a great defense in this case. It's the converse of what people usually repeat. But it is true. The best offense is a good defense. You wait, patience, vigilance, and then you strike. And the disadvantage of this attrition for Russia is being hollowed out economically, contrary to all the smoke and mirrors and friendship and love affair with China, which is, in my opinion, as I've stated, very superficial. When the tides will change, China will change also. So you don't worry about that. Russia is being hollowed out. And in every single situation, when it gets hollowed out, whether it's the czars, the revolution, perestroika, or the current day, being top-down heavy, it will collapse, be reformatted. And this time, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. We are not going to be fooled by this. And it will be reformatted into a better world of transparent democracy and free movement of labor and capital, and maybe even division based on what people really want, and fragmented, city-states and countries all throughout that region. And that will make the world a better place. Now, again, when I create this game theory and I'm abstracting, I'm not taking away the seriousness, because every single human being has a purpose and a meaning in this life. And every life that ends is a dreadful execution. And in the words of Spock on the original Star Trek, humans have see one life loss as a tragedy, but a million as a statistic. Of course we don't. We know that just because I'm trying to create a conceptual framework to understand this geopolitical event better, it doesn't mean I don't care. Yes, everything I do here is I care immensely. I have a job. I don't need to be doing this. I switched my channel mostly from economics to geopolitical because I care and I want the world to know and understand what is happening. So use this conceptual framework. Be patient, vigilance, wait, okay? Be united in this. Only fools fight in a burning house. We can stand strong against this tyranny and this despotism. And with that patience, there'll be a strike, and you'll see it. And then it will ignite change, and the fire will be catching, and it will be reformatted, and the world will be a better place for our future. My name is Mark Biernat. Have a great day. Thank you very much.